Today, we're going to dive into the life and message of an evangelist whose words were, well, they were like a spiritual lightning bolt. His name was Leonard Ravenhill, and his message is this profound challenge that honestly feels just as urgent today as it did decades ago.
And this is the question at the very heart of it all. I want you to just let this sit for a second. Is what you're living for worth Christ dying for? That's a heavy question, right? It's unsettling. And to really get the weight of it, we have to understand the man who dared to ask it. So first up, let's talk about the messenger. Who was this man? To get why his convictions were so intense, you really have to look at his life.
Okay, so Ravenhill was born in England way back in 1907, and he grew up kind of steeped in the history of Great Britain's spiritual revivals. He got his start right there on the streets, doing open-air evangelism all over the UK. But things really took a turn when he moved to the United States in the 1950s. His preaching got this sharp, prophetic edge to it. And of course, this is when he wrote that incredibly challenging book, Why Revival Tarries, a book that still shakes people up today.
And this is a really key distinction we have to make. Yeah, Ravenhill was formally trained, he had the theological education, but that's not what made him who he was, not even close. What truly set him apart, what defined him, was this internal, all-consuming fire, what's been called the burden of God on his soul. And you could see that burden in everything he did. This wasn't a job for him, it was his entire life. He preached with this laser focus on eternity. I mean, the man would often weep, actually weep, in the pulpit over the state of people's souls. He'd refuse payment for his preaching. He'd spend hours and hours in prayer every single day. And he had zero interest in getting public applause or using the latest church growth fads. So that was the man. Now let's shift to his message. Because that passion, that burden, it fueled this unwavering truth that he preached relentlessly. This one verse from the book of Hebrews, this was basically the bedrock of his entire worldview. Everything he said, everything he did, was framed by this one singular reality. You get one life, and after that, you face judgment. For Ravenhill, this wasn't just some dusty theological point. It was the lens through which he saw every single person he ever met. And that leads right to this core belief. For him, there was no gray area, no middle ground. Every single person, every soul is on a path to an eternal destination, either heaven or hell. And that conviction is what lit the fire under him. It fueled his urgency. He saw the world through the eyes of eternity. So when you hear Ravenhill talk about revival, you have to understand he meant something very, very specific. It had nothing to do with slick marketing campaigns or building bigger auditoriums or getting applause from the crowd. To him, real revival was about genuine, gut-level repentance. It was about people becoming truly broken over their sin, which then led to real, lasting, life-changing conversions. And man, this quote just perfectly captures that urgency he lived with. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of the opportunity. Time is short. That window you have, it closes. There's this fierce urgency to the now, because tomorrow is never, ever guaranteed. This was the reality he operated in every single day.
Okay, so that's the man and his message. But why does it matter to us, right here, right now? Well, that brings us to the mandate, the challenge that his life leaves for us today.
You can really distill his legacy down into 3 powerful and kind of tough lessons. First, don't soften the truth. He believed you speak it with love, for sure, but you never water it down and you never apologize for it. Second, prayer has to be like oxygen. It's not just something you do, it's essential for spiritual life. And third, do not get comfortable. The stakes are just way too high.
You see, for Ravenhill, prayer wasn't the warm-up before the work, prayer was the work. This quote says it all, doesn't it? No man is greater than his prayer life. The power, the passion, the impact he had, he believed all of it flowed directly from the time he spent on his knees. And this last lesson is just a stark wake-up call. This image of souls just slipping away while the church is asleep at the wheel. That is exactly the kind of convicting picture Ravenhill wanted to burn into our minds. It's a call to shake off complacency and see the eternal reality happening all around us. Which brings us right back to where we started. Full circle. This is the question that Leonard Ravenhill's life poses to every single one of us. It's not about judging him, it's about examining ourselves. After everything we've just talked about, what's your answer?